Welcome back to VFX for the Indie Filmmaker. In this module, we're going to be going over stabilizing in DaVinci Resolve using Fusion. So once you have DaVinci Resolve open, you can go ahead and go to your project settings. And if you're using the footage that you downloaded for this module, it's going to be 4096 by 2160 at 30 frames a second. So we can go ahead and load that footage. And we're not going to be color grading or anything, so we'll just use this raw footage, which is fine. So pop it down here, create our timeline, and this is the footage we're going to be using, but we're not going to use that much of it, and we don't need this audio. So if your stuff is linked, you just hit this link button, select the audio, Control X, delete it out. Now we want this to be, we'll give it 4 seconds. So if we hit Control D, we go to our frames, hit 120. We've got 4 seconds of video. Unstabilized video. All right. So as I said before, we really don't want to use this stabilize over here within our timeline for a couple reasons. One, let me go ahead and duplicate this. Is even at its kind of like max, let's lock the camera down, stabilize it. It does okay, but it's not even remotely stabilized when it comes to doing VFX work. It's still moving around, and you got some warping and fluttering going around on the side. So the other issue is within Fusion itself. If we go ahead and hit the Fusion tab, we look at our media, it's not stabilized at all. None of that stabilization data transferred over. So we're going to go ahead and delete this, and we'll jump into Fusion. So if you've never used Fusion before, Fusion is kind of a node-based editor, and our media in is right here, and our media out is right here. So anything we do in between here will reflect in our B monitor over here. So let me go ahead and even this out. Now, one thing I don't want you to get confused about, which kind of annoys me, is in Fusion, we're starting at frame 0. And I know I harp a lot of times about changing this other software to start at 1. Everything started at 1, so you know frame 1 is frame 1, frame 24 is frame 24. But I have no idea how to change this. I know it's 120 frames because it's going from 0 to 119. But it could add confusion when you're working. So if I need to go to frame 24 to do some work, I know it's on frame 24, but I'm actually on frame 25. So that it can get confusing. I've tried to change up in the Fusion tab, go into the settings, and I've had this frame start at 1, but I really have no idea how to make that really change to 1 and reflect how I want to work. So if anybody knows out there, please drop me a line. So moving on. So the way Fusion works, if we need to add nodes, you can go ahead and hit Shift Spacebar, and we'll get this up. And say we wanted to add a blur, we can just add a blur, and we've got a blur. And we can pipe our media in and our media out, change our settings, and you see we've got a blur on our media out. This is a general concept behind Fusion. So inline editing, just like Nuke or Silhouette, anything in between the media in and the media out is where all the magic happens. We need to stabilize this track. So let's go ahead and hit Shift Space and search for Mocha. We'll add a Mocha Pro node, and we'll pipe it in. And if you ever wonder what these triangles are using, all you have to do is hold your mouse over and it'll tell you. This is an insert. That's the actual source. In a mask if you need a mask, and then this is out, but we really don't care about the out. So to keep stuff nice and neat, I like to name everything. So if you hit F2 while you're on the node, you can rename it. So I'll rename this to Mocha Pro Stabilize. Because when you come back in a week and you've got 20 other nodes up here, having these named will definitely come in handy. All right, to launch our stabilization node, our Mocha node, sorry about that, we're gonna hit Launch Mocha. Once it opens up, we'll go ahead and play it to get this film and footage into the buffer. And there we go. And notice this is reflecting what Fusion is telling it to, starting at frame 0, not frame 1 like our other software that we used. But regardless, also, if you're not seeing this workspace, you're probably in the Essentials panel. So if you just come down and hit Classic, you'll see all these with its additional tabs down here. So on the track node, we're gonna check out our footage and see what we need to do here. So we need to stabilize this and keep our actresses in place. So in order to do that, we're going to create X-splines to track all this data. And the way Mocha works is it uses planar tracking, not point tracking like a lot of other software. Meaning, if I create an X-spline on this wall, it's going to treat this wall as a plane and track all that data and that texture information in there to kind of figure out where this wall is supposed to be. And it's not picking one single point, it's picking multiple points within this X-spline to track. So with that concept, that's what we're going to do to kind of track this entire footage. So we can use that tracking data to stabilize it. So let me go ahead and delete this. And before we start creating X-splines, we kind of want to review our footage and see what's going on. So one thing we definitely want to avoid is the movement of our actresses, including their shadows, because that could throw off tracking data. And we're also going to avoid these flickering lights up here and the reflections, because even though it's not moving, that pixel data is changing, so it could possibly be construed as moving pixels. So we're just going to avoid those. Additionally, we're going to avoid the very edges. Even though Mocha Pro is pretty good about knowing it's on the edge, it's still capturing that data pretty good. We're just going to avoid it. So to create our X-splines, we just hit Create X-spline up here and start creating our splines. We're going to do one on these tripods over here, avoiding those reflections on those tripods. And when you're done, just right mouse click and it finishes up the X-spline. Now you can move all these points. You can change the curves using the handles. But we're going to add additional ones. But one thing we don't want to do is add more layers, because the stabilized track uses a single layer in its data to stabilize the footage. So in order to add an additional X-spline, we're going to hit the Add to X-spline button. It's got a little plus up there. So we'll go ahead and add one on these tripods over here, avoiding those light reflections. We're going to add another one up here. Track all that info. We'll add another one on our back wall. And we'll go ahead and add another one on the floor down here. And we're going to double check to make sure our actresses or their shadows aren't getting into anything. And she's getting a little close there. So I'll go ahead and move this. I don't want to create any keyframes. That's why I went back to frame 1. This little green flag means that's a keyframe. So if I come over here and move this out of the way, which you can, it'll capture that data fine. it's going to create that keyframe, so that's moving, but I really don't want that. So I'm going to get rid of that keyframe. Move this back over, double check. There, nice and simple. Now down here we've got the choice of what we're tracking, and right here we've got selected our translation, which is X and Y, our scale, which is kind of the zoom, scaling in and out, the rotation and the shear, and we're just going to go ahead and leave those there. I really don't have any perspective. We're not using a mesh, so I'm going to go ahead and track forward. And we'll double check our tracks, make sure nothing's slipping, and it looks good. All right, before we move on, we're going to go ahead and rename this to track, so we can keep nice and orderly. And green is for my tracks, and there we go. With this track selected, we're going to go down here and select the stabilize button. Now, this is technically already using this data to stabilize, but I know it's not going to be enough, so we're going to do some additional settings. Now down here, it's automatically set in the XY translation, meaning it's going to stabilize in the X and the Y. But we definitely have some rotation. We've got a little zoom going on. You know, we do have a little shear going on in there, not so much perspective, but I'm going to go ahead and select all motion for stabilizing. And then down here is how many frames it's kind of looking ahead to stabilize. Meaning for this tripod base down here, if it's tracking a bunch of points on here, it's going to look ahead 10 frames to see where that is, to kind of calculate what it needs to do to keep that in place. So we'll leave that at 10 frames, and we'll go ahead and render that forward. And we will check our stabilization, and it stabilized good. However, we got some floating up and down still. So how do we fix that? That is pretty much these frames down here. So Mocha needs a little more frames since the movement was so large to figure out where everything needs to be put so it's stationary in a lockdown. So we're going to go ahead and raise this to, let's give it a second. Let's let it look at a second. So 30 frames, and let's re-render this. And now we've got a extremely locked down shot. So you can see our actresses are in place. They'll be able to sit in their seats in the 3D world perfectly fine. Right, so one other thing is you see these borders down here from the corner pins moving around and doing what it's got to do to stabilize. For this project, it's not an issue because all I need is these actresses. Everything else is going to be cut out. But if you need full frame, working with your fixed frames, like adding where your fixed frames are and working with these borders, will get rid of all of that. So we're going to go ahead and save this and click the export stabilize. And right down here, we're going to select Blackmagic Fusion comp data and just copy to clipboard. We'll close out Mocha. Once you're back in Fusion, click off any nodes you're on and hit Control V to paste that data. Now there's two nodes. This is our actual tracking info. This is kind of an input node that you can just delete. We don't need it. So before we move on, let's go ahead and rename this to stabilized. So this is our stabilization information. And the way this works, it's a little different. You're going to need two inputs. So we've got our input and we've got foreground input, which could be a little confusing, but just pipe that into the input and the foreground. And we can disconnect this MP. Go ahead and keep that just in case you need to change frames and restabilize later. It'll always be there. So once you've got this selected, if you go to operations and pick corner positioning, and you can see already it's not working because we got to put it into the media out. So you can see our nice stabilized footage over here. Now, as far as this foreground over background, that means this image is just going to stay stagnant in the background. So if we just pick foreground only, you can see we've got transparency down on the bottom. It's only showing that new stabilized data, which is what we want. So go ahead and change it to foreground only. Since we're going to be cutting and keying all this stuff out, we don't need a background image. So there we go, our nice stabilized data. So from here, we can build all the rest of our nodes to finish our keying and our rotoscoping and everything else. And why this stabilization is so important, and I'll show you an example. Let's go ahead and add another Mocha Pro. And we're going to go from our original footage and let's launch Mocha. In this clip, I know this green screen isn't going to capture everything, especially with these dark spots in these stools. We're going to have to actually rotoscope stuff out and make garbage mats and all that fun stuff. Now, this is doable. I mean, you could do it, other than us needing our actresses to be straight. If we didn't need that, I'm saying to get rid of this, you could technically, within Mocha, go ahead and track our stools. Let's change this to track. Make her green. And that's our track data for that stool. Then what we could do is go ahead and any garbage mat we need to make, we can select it, come around to get rid of it. And then with this layer, simply link it to our track, and it's going to follow our track along, which is easier than having to rotoscope this crazy motion that's going on. Additionally, if we want to select our track, we can stabilize on spot, which means it's going to kind of keep this footage itself still. That way it's easier for us to work around, and we just got to do keys to go around her body. So even with this footage, Mocha Pro makes it pretty easy to be able to do a lot of this, tedious but easy to do a lot of this stuff. But instead of that, let's use our stabilized footage. Launch Mocha Pro. Now we've got this footage, which is much easier to work with. So all we really have to do is make our one garbage mat. And it's pretty much there. And all we really have to do is come in here and make adjustments and changes. So it's going around her body. You get the picture. So additionally, since this is all nice and stabilized, we can go ahead and track her hand. Shut that tracker off. Got a nice hand track. Let's rename this. Hand track. Shut it off. And then we can go and start creating splines. And instead of having to key all this stuff, we can just link it to the hand track, and it's linked to the hand track. So, and since this layer is already on top, it's automatically gonna cut out of there. So nice and simple. Mocha makes it nice and easy to be able to do stuff like this, but it starts with a good stabilized footage, which Mocha is amazing for. So close out of that. We'll go ahead and delete that. So that is generally how you stabilize footage in Fusion. And again, there's no, it's done. So if we go back to our edit screen, it's stabilized footage. So we don't have to export anything. We've still got original B-raw footage that we can go and do additional effects. We can color grade, we can do whatever we got to do. So this is why it's a little better to do your stabilization work within Fusion other than other software like After Effects or Silhouette and bringing it back into Fusion. So it's just easier. It's all here, non-destructive, and quick and simple. So in the next module, we will be getting into keying. So see you then. If you like this video and would like access to the full course, you can visit my Payhit page, link in the description. For only $26, you're getting access to 6 hours of instructional video, as well as access to footage, Blender project files, and other pre-production file downloads. The VFX for the Indie Filmmaker course covers complete instruction from pre-production to project delivery and includes modules such as keying and compositing, creating and rendering 3D sets, and everything else you'll need to know to go from charging hundreds of dollars per project to thousands of dollars per project.